It's time for the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Featuring site publishers Carey Murdoch and Josh McQuistion, along with videographer Eddie Radosevich. It's the unofficial 40 on Soonerscoop.com.
All right, welcome back. It is the unofficial 40 right here on Soonerscoop.com podcast. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm joined, Carey Murdoch, joined as always by Josh McQuistion, Eddie Radosevich, and Bob Przybylo. And the flights, I finally booked them for Atlanta for the 5-star challenge coming up. And I've got kind of camp fever after last night, spinning it out at OU. I'm not kidding. Bob is laughing like, you don't have camp fever.
I don't think you mean that.
I'm not the only one laughing.
It was good to kind of get out and talk to some of the coaches for me. And, we got to see Tramonda Moore. Bob was the first one to notice him make his way onto campus last night. And he walked out with Lincoln Riley, and he looked good. I mean, like, from the last time I'd seen Tramonda on that field, it was a different field then. But, like, he was kind of a chubby kid. I mean, he looked like a guy that's been working out or been keeping himself in shape.
Yeah, he was pretty chubby going into his senior year at John Marshall. But even last year when he committed, the body transformation was underway. Whatever he's done at Independence has clearly worked out in that regard, at least when it comes to his strength and conditioning. He seems to be right where he needs to be heading into Norman.
I did ask someone, you worried at all about anything on Last Chance U that might come out? And like you guys talked before, I mean, he didn't play, so, I mean, I don't know how much he would have been in there, but I don't think he was a favorite of the coaching staff at Independence.
And it depends where Last Chance U is starting to go. Are they going to tell the story of the season? Or are they more?
I hope not.
Starting to go into about stories about players.
Thanks for dropping that one early, Eddie.
It's going to be a big one today. It's going to be a big one today. I want to know just how messed up these kids are. I don't. No, I could care less about the JUCO season.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, they can build the drama as it pertains to the coach and how it affects him and his job and all that stuff. If that's dramatic, that'll be part of the show. But if they just have a bunch of knuckleheads like they usually do because it's junior college, and as a former junior college baseball player, I can tell you there are a lot of knuckleheads. I mean, we had kids that stole from each other, got kicked off the team. The starting quarterback stole from people.
That happens at the Division I level as well.
Yeah.
Stealing from each other.
Yeah. So you have a lot of people that steal in junior college. You have a lot of people that fight with cops. I actually saw a police officer being attacked by, believe it or not, track and field athletes in the middle of our dorms because we had athletic dorms. There is just a lot of crazy shit that happens in JUCOs. And as now, I didn't watch.
Sounds about right.
I got tired of the second season because, like, I can only handle so many knuckleheads. Like, at some point, you're just like, you don't deserve to be on TV. Like, it's just enough. So it's a good thing it's at Independence because that'll at least, pique my interest. Just the fact that it's a Jayhawk Conference team and that JUCO system a little bit.
I sort of want to see Emmett Gooden because he was sort of a fringe OU defensive lineman target too. See what happened with him.
But anyway, Tramonda being here, we'll see how it all works out. I think there are definitely reasons to be skeptical that just based on his history of how well that is going to work out or if it's going to work out at OU.
Revisit in August. Is that what you're saying?
How about revisit at the end of camp in August? Yeah, late August.
Yeah, before the season starts.
But, we were talking about this, and I actually asked Lincoln Riley about it in Tulsa last week. Freshmen that come in, and maybe we talked about this some on the last podcast, but it's been a long time since we've seen a troubled kid like that's come in and just quit. I mean, I think you guys had figured out it was the John Michael McGee kid.
I don't know how much troubled he was either. I think.
But I'm just talking about a kid that comes in and just quits.
Oh yeah, just can't take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there was a kid from McAllister. He never really made it into many times.
Daltonwood.
Yeah. It's almost hard to say that he quit.
Yeah, you can't quit something
you
don't
start.
Yeah.
Before you can quit.
Exactly.
So anyway, Josh, let's bring you into the program here. You've got the Houston satellite camp tonight. I thought it was interesting. I was talking to Bob Diaco yesterday, and you think about all these, he was a defensive coordinator, he was a head coach. You think, oh, that's a great guy to have at satellite camps, but he can't do satellite camps because he's not full-time. GAs can do satellite camps, but these coaches that are just staff positions can't do camps.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the support staff, guys like that, they can't be there. So, I mean, it's really that, and that's one of the things that differs. This is a new rule that has changed over the last few years because in years past you would see guys, kind of, for a name that people would know, like an Andy Hansen, people that were involved, but maybe not on the coaching staff, that are around the program, they could be there at those things. Now that can't happen. So Oklahoma, and it's fine. Like you said, GAs can be there. There are guys beyond the staff that can be there, which makes it possible for Oklahoma to kind of jump around the country like they have with Memphis and St. Louis, Oklahoma a couple days, and now they're going to be in Houston tonight, Dallas on Friday. So there's obviously a lot of things for Oklahoma to do, and obviously they've got Los Angeles coming up as well. So that makes it possible, but at the same time, it's a little bit more of a numbers crunch because you don't have as many expendable bodies to send to different places.
Well, tonight, what is it, Sam Houston? Are they hosting tonight, the satellite camp in Houston?
It's Houston Baptist, which I've never been to. I'm kind of interested to see what that looks like. I saw them, probably the first time I ever knew Houston Baptist existed was a Trinity Valley game I went and saw a couple years ago, starring Quincy Russell and Josiah St. John. They were playing Houston Baptist and literally beat them like they stole something. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what the turnout's going to be like. I think Corey Roberson will probably be there hanging out. The defensive line commitment from Manville. Marcus Stripling, I don't know. The problem with these camps is for guys that already have offers, they've got to pay money to basically go hang out with their with the coaches, and that's not something most kids are going to do, even if it is like $40. That's just not something that works out for most guys, and they're not going to spend their summertime night when they could be out with their buddies or their girlfriend or doing whatever going there. But obviously, if they do go, it's always a good sign. So we'll see what comes out. I haven't heard any huge names that are going to be there, but I think you'll look at some 2020 and 2021 guys that will probably emerge from this.
All right, OU has finished their on-campus camps. Last night, guys, we went out. A few guys of interest. I mean, you got to see Trace Ford. You got to see Cole Mashburn, the Prince kid out of Highland Park. What were your impressions? Just watch. I mean, and really all they did was just kind of go through basic drills that you see. Most college football teams go through. The circle that they have linebackers run through. They went up against the sleds a little bit. They did 40s. Running backs went through bag drills and things. But you also got to see the Owasso kid, the running back, the Isaiah Jacobs kid, and I thought he looked really good too.
Yeah, by taking away pads, it kind of took away that item of evaluation and we used to always do. Now I just kind of see them go through the motions. And when you look at Saturday and Tuesday, I think the star was DJ Graham, the 2020 prospect who was offered right then and there on the spot. And sort of funny because he camped all night Tuesday as a receiver. And then you talk to him after. He's like, no, I was actually offered by Carey Cooks. I'm a DB. So sort of interesting there. And that on Saturday, offensive lineman Jonah. Josh, I'm going to butcher this last name, so I'm not even going to try it. But you can clearly see that Bill Beatenbow had a lot of interest in that. Getting someone from California to come to a camp like this, that's not bad.
Josh, would you like to take a shot at Jonah's last name?
I want to thank Bob for leading me into this, to leave me in this situation where I've got to butcher the kid's name instead of him. That's really big of you, Bob. I really appreciate that. Let's go with the TAU is almost always Tau or Ta. So like Ta'anu'u. Sure, we're going to go with that. I like that. I kind of like the way that sounded. So Ta'anu'u. Yeah, we're going to go with that.
I just found out what it's called. I Googled this up. What is the phobia of words? This has to be a joke. Hippopotamonstrosquipadillophobia.
No wonder you'd be scared of words.
Deliophobia. Padeliophobia. Hippopotamonstrosquipadillophobia. Well,
I would have guessed like I was going to say something. Never mind.
So, you have that, Bob.
It's names, not words. Names.
The fear of words.
Fear of saying names.
Fear of...
And going back to the camp, it was good to see Cole Mashburn in a different element. Obviously, he's a 3-star defensive end by rivals, but if he's going to sniff an offer from OU, it's going to be at that H-back position. So, seeing him work with Jay Boulware and Shane Beamer, then getting followed by Beamer on Twitter, following the event, it's positive signs. Again, doesn't guarantee an offer is going to happen, but at least now he's put himself in position instead of going to a camp as a defensive lineman, knowing that nothing was ever going to go down.
And it was kind of interesting. You know, he was working with the running backs with Jay Boulware, and then halfway through camp, Shane Beamer came over and grabbed him and worked him out, I assume, as a tight end on the main field, because they took the quarterbacks and the receivers over to the main field. I did talk to Greg Mashburn, who was there watching his son and just kind of getting an update on him. And I think, they were hoping that to get some type of an offer. I talked to his dad a little bit last night through text too, and he said that they felt good about it. They talked to Shane Beamer, but it sounds like OU is still slow playing him. I mean, they basically told him they want to wait till August to see if they're going to offer an H-back at all, which I don't know, kind of might say something about Jeremiah Hall too.
Right. That's what I think the big question mark is. Is Jeremiah Hall the answer, and or what happens with Braden Willis?
Yeah. And we saw Braden Willis.
35-year-old man yesterday.
He looked good.
Looks really good.
I'm just saying, maybe my new man crush, Braden Willis.
Braden Willis,
yeah.
Not a bad choice. I'm looking this up. I thought the fear of words is Haleism. Is that wrong?
Okay. Eddie, look, should we address the whole Twitter? It's just nuts this week. I mean, it started with the Kyler Murray stuff. I don't know. Was your attack before Kyler Murray, though?
No, it was on Saturday.
That's Saturday.
It wasn't even an attack. It was an observation.
Yes.
Observation. Fact. I don't think we want to bore people. We should talk about Kyler Murray.
I thought you were going to say something like we should talk about people that are relevant.
Well, that too. Very much more relevant. And with a clean record.
Bob's been attacked on Twitter this week. The whole Kyler Murray thing, when it happened, look, it was just Thursday. It was last Thursday. Was it Monday? The first round of the draft?
Yeah.
Was Monday. So it had been 4 days since Lincoln Riley had spoken literally as convicted about something as I'd ever heard him, talking about Kyler Murray and his future in Tulsa. And here's a little bit of Lincoln Riley. This was at the OU Caravan in Tulsa on Thursday, just speaking about Kyler Murray's future.
I don't really care a whole lot about what happens in the draft. I've had good conversations with Kyler, his family, and I fully expect him to be with us, and I really don't have any worries about it.
So, I mean, and I left it, and he even expanded on that a little bit.
Everybody else has been a lot more worried about it than me. I haven't lost one night of sleep on it, so I apologize if anybody else has. I mean, I knew the deal getting into it. I mean, that's when he first decided to leave A&M, we had very candid conversations with him and his family about it, and they have lived up to their word, every part of it, and I have no doubt that they'll continue to do so, and I think they would say the same thing about us.
So, I mean, I left there thinking, okay, no matter what happens to Kyler Murray in the draft, he's playing quarterback at Oklahoma next year.
In hindsight, everything makes a lot more sense knowing what we know now.
Yeah. I think the thing that made it stupid to me was, okay, so he's drafted number 9, which surprised everyone. I mean, taken as the 9th pick
Shocking.
of the draft.
I wouldn't say shocking, but stunning might be the best way to put it.
But we all knew that Kyler was honest with teams saying he wanted to play football next year, and they should, take that into consideration when they draft him. So if they were going to draft him, and they were going to draft him high, and he was going to be slotted for a big signing bonus, that they had to be prepared for him to not be with their club immediately, and that he was going to be playing football in college next year. So obviously the A's knew that. They were okay with that. But when it happened, like the thing that really set it off, I think, was Ian Rappaport quote tweeting our tweet from Thursday, which was my tweet, of Lincoln Riley saying that stuff right there. And then it just it snowballed, and it became every non-OU fan, and a lot of OU fans, because OU fans just panic, because that's natural when something like that happens. Like, oh my God, we're going to lose our quarterback. Like, how did this happen? But for the most part, it's just a bunch of people like, look at freezing cold takes, look at Sooner Scoop, how stupid they are. Like, no, that's what Lincoln Riley said. You guys are panicking. He can do both. I don't know why everybody thinks this is an either-or situation. And it pissed me off. And I was so glad that Kyler Murray had that conference call with the A's so he could say that. And then the A's came out later that night and said, yeah, we're going to be OU football fans next year.
Yeah, it was
just your typical knee-jerk Twitter night.
No, it was, but very understandable. I mean, it all happened very quickly.
How many sites, though, get to freezing cold take?
That's true.
Like, we get to quote tweet him in about 2 months and get to just live his life for a minute.
That is very true.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because the slot value obviously is a high number. I think it's $4.7 million at the ninth draft pick.
4.76 or something like that.
Yeah, 4.67, something like that. And, it's going to be interesting. Kyler Murray's representative, Scott Boras included, is going to walk into that negotiation room with a huge dick and put it on the desk and say, we have all the leverage. We have all the leverage.
I mean, yeah, I think they can get every bit of that signing bonus, but they're
going to just say,
I also think they
we
could
don't have
say,
to sign.
Yeah, they could say,
and that would be the ultimate power move.
Oh,
if they took him at number 9 and didn't sign.
Oh, I think he signs. Was it July 15th or June 15th?
Yeah, he has about a month, just over a month.
So, I mean, I think it all gets worked out. But you're right. Scott Boras being your agent,
you never know.
You never know. I mean,
and he has all the leverage. Like, I saw people on Twitter saying he had no leverage. It's actually, I think the most amazing part about this whole thing is how little people know about the process.
I just love that when something happens, it's just like when he's drafted number 9, everyone basically stands on a wall and says, well, this is the way you have to look at this.
Yeah.
And they're completely wrong 100% of the time almost.
Or and it's understandable. Why would you put your body through it? Why would you go through it if you have all that money and play football?
One guy said, he's like, isn't it Lincoln Riley's responsibility to tell that young man that that's his future and he needs to go do it? And I sarcastically said, 1, he can do both. And I said, 2, have you ever even met a college football coach? And he was like, how dare you treat me this way on Twitter? And I'm just like, dude, college football coaches would give up one of their children
get more than 35
to keep a
followers
5-star quarterback on their team. Now, I don't think Lincoln Riley would give up a child, but Nick Saban definitely would.
People just don't understand the process of what Murray's going through. And I'm not claiming that I do either, but because I do think it's very new.
Kyler Murray insider.
And then you already have people
there's never been a player that is as good as he is in both that has tried to do both.
There's already people who are happy that he's going to be
or at least
the quarterback.
Well, Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
but it's different.
Where was Bo drafted in baseball?
Like 25, 30 years later.
No, I mean, like,
Bo would still be better than Kyler Murray in both sports right now.
We don't know how good he is in football.
Who?
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying Bo Jackson.
I'm not saying he's not the top.
If he had longevity, he would have been a Hall of Famer in both sports.
Right. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been.
And I was saying there's already people who like that Murray's going to be the quarterback, but they wonder if his heart's going to be in it.
Those people are idiots.
Well, hey guys, worth noting, and I asked the question. I went and looked up.
Dumbest take I can hear is he won't care because he has money.
Or if he gets hurt in a minor injury, then he'll never come back.
That is completely just, panic. That's look, he cares. He's giving up a potential, payday and a start to a career in order to do something he loves, which is play football.
I agree with Eddie. That's not even thinking with your head. The guy is literally could be starting his professional career, getting a head start on making one of his dreams undoubtedly come true, and that's playing Major League Baseball. He's delaying it for a whole damn year to play football. Yes, sorry, I almost went there too, Eddie. He cares. He friggin' cares.
Bo Jackson was drafted in the 4th round of the 1986 amateur draft.
Yep,
is that
I
right?
saw the same. I mean,
I didn't know if there was a couple more drafts that he was in or not.
That's what's crazy about this. Guys, we're talking about leverage. The A's gave him the leverage. When they made him the 9th pick, they forced themselves to sign him. He has to be signed.
What I was trying to say earlier is there's no precedent for what he's trying to do in this day and age.
Yeah.
I mean, because Kyler Parker was a 1st-round pick, but it was mid-1st round. And it wasn't nearly the money and investment that they're making now. And
Kyle Parker had been through 2 universities and all this other crap just waiting for his opportunity to be a starting quarterback. And wasn't a damn high school legend. I mean, Kyler Murray is one of the top 10 high school football players probably to ever play Texas high school football.
It's insane. And we're going to be on the pretty much we're going to be on the ride for the next 6-7 months of what this thing entails.
Well, yeah, signing to me is a foregone conclusion. I mean, with it being slotted,
should be.
And the only thing will be,
if he was represented by anybody other than Scott Boras, I'd say it's a done deal.
I think the A's and the Murrays will both take out insurance policies on this deal. They've probably already done it. Go through Lloyd's of London.
Where does the university come into this as far as insurance policy?
Well, players, I mean, it's been known players have been taking out insurance policies for years and years. The NCAA
can't the school take one out too?
They can. A&M did it with, and that was the first time I ever heard about it. It's a fairly new rule. I remember reading a story about A&M doing it a few years ago with the Cedric Agbuahi kid.
The tackle kid, right?
Yep. They took one out on him. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of it existing. But it's something within the players' fun.
They did it because they wanted the kid to come back. And they said, look, we'll take this out, and you come back for a year and develop, and then you can. So, yeah, I mean, that's a tool that colleges have been using.
Yep. You'd have to think OU would do it, I mean, just to further his incentive.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, if OU could do it to protect his baseball future. I mean, he did play baseball for OU, so maybe they can. Maybe
I really have no idea.
That's it. Carey hadn't thought about that, but that's interesting because obviously the second he signs a contract, his potential as OU baseball player is null.
Well, and the other thing is he won't be on scholarship this year. That'll be taken care of by the A's.
Oh.
So OU starting another guy that's not on scholarship. Unbelievable.
What if Kyler Murray transfers because they took away his scholarship?
That'd be funny.
He transfers to Texas Tech.
It'd be good news for Cliff Kingsbury. They might win 7 games.
No, but I think that's the way it'll work. And who knows? I think because Scott Boras is his agent, he'll probably get the full 4.7 or whatever it is. I think the A's will probably want a discount, but I think they won't have it. So that would probably be the only back and forth that you'll see.
I just don't like the A's have nothing to bring to the table as far as negotiation. They're like, I mean, they have to pretty much be a pawn of the Murrays, right? What can they say that would possibly change anything?
They could say, look, we're gonna pay you this much now.
Take away the money, he walks out.
This much when you. I mean, what I'm saying is they could structure his signing bonus as a payout to after he finishes football.
Could they put in like incentives, like when the Heisman you get extra?
No, why would they?
I don't know.
Got like a coaching contract.
Yeah, like a bounty gate almost.
By the way, speaking of contracts, June 17th, I think, is in the Board of Regents means.
I would imagine.
Go ahead, Getty.
Is Lincoln Riley going to get Kyler Murray money?
Kyler Murray's going to be the highest paid guy on the roster.
That was something that somebody pointed out, is Kyler Murray's going to make more money next year than Lincoln Riley will.
That's amazing. Guys, it's funny how much Scott Boras changes the conversation, because I've even tweeted about it. I'll own it, that I said, okay, Oakland's going to come back and they're going to want a little discount, and that's probably why they took him where they took him, because they can say, hey, we're going to let you play ball. We're not even going to ask you to come play this summer. You can focus. You can be the football guy first, the whole thing, and the next year we want you full time. And, for that allowance, we want to sign you for $500,000 less, or whatever. But with Scott Boras, that'll never happen. That will never happen on Scott Boras's watch.
You wouldn't think so.
It would be incredible. I guess I've just been shocked about how, watching Major League Network and stuff and how they talk about it. It's the number one story in the draft that they took Kyler Murray number 9. Or not, maybe if it's not number 1, it's top 5 so far.
Yeah.
I guess that's been surprising to me, is just how much.
It's a little like the Golf Channel, where you're going to get the minutia of the draft.
Yeah, they definitely have driven it into the ground for sure. But his baseball future is, people think the world of Kyler Murray.
Well, it's like Baker Mayfield in a way. He's like the Baker Mayfield of baseball right now. It's one of those things that everyone is interested in, even if you don't follow Oklahoma football or even college football. Baseball loves it, because to have someone like that in the game that's marketable, that's a story, that speaks English.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Honestly,
sometimes. Let's face it. That's American. That's something that baseball really needs right now.
And just leave it up to the Major League Baseball, to have their draft with Jonathan Indias playing third base for Florida, gets drafted 5th. Kyler Murray's on a plane, gets drafted 9th.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Here is my quick, brilliant business idea for Joe Castiglione. Sell your pay-per-view rights to the Major League Network for whatever, if it's Kansas or whoever.
Wow. That wouldn't be... Could they do that?
Can you imagine Major League
genius.
Network having a college football game on?
You need to put that out there so you own it.
That's almost like the baseball game or football games being played in the baseball stadiums. You've got that kind of funky juxtaposition, and it would get notoriety just because it's strange.
Maybe you could
have John Smoltz come in and do the color.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
And maybe you could have Kyler Murray do a week-long interview thing and have him out on the baseball field, and then have him on the football field.
I'm sure you'd have to do it for the Kansas week.
Yeah, Lincoln probably would not go for that.
Yeah.
Although they came in and would interview. Kirk Herbstreit would come in and interview Baker.
Yeah.
Week before a big game.
Hell, they did that before the Bedlam. It was before real big games.
But try and get Major League Network to buy up your pay-per-view.
Trying to think, it'd be during September, so baseball would probably be over, or October, whenever the Kansas game is, or beginning of September. They're still be during the playoffs.
Yeah,
you're not going to go run over anything.
So there you go. There's my business idea.
Game would be played at 11 a.m. anyways, probably. So it's not going to bump up against any.
MLB would probably make it a night game.
Yeah.
Why would they give a shit?
Unless it went up against playoff games.
Yeah.
Carey, it's time to tag Sooner AD on Twitter.
I'll probably just get ripped by a neck tattoo guy if I do that.
Let's not give him any. Let's not.
Yeah, I'd even.
I've never seen a troll that tries to connect so many dots that aren't there.
Him. I really don't even want to talk about him. In fact, just delete this.
This is Eddie having us move on. I love it. I love it. It's a bright new day.
Okay, so the other thing that's driving me crazy now about the Kyler Murray stuff, and I addressed this on the board, but this notion...
Hold on. We need immediate reaction. K-State baseball will announce former Virginia Tech and Oklahoma skipper Pete Hughes as its new head coach.
Welcome to last week, Josh.
Well, I know we talked about it, but Kendall Rogers is reporting it's happening. It's done.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we did talk about that last week.
Very.
didn't we?
I
I'm
know.
surprised.
Damn it.
I'm surprised. I'll say that.
I thought your breaking news was going to be Carey went on the board.
I did too.
I thought you were setting up. Oh my God, Carey's been on the board bit. Okay, you got any other breaking news for us, Josh? Has there been any volcanoes erupting in Guatemala?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Crisis actors in Guatemala.
So I'll let you have that one.
Well, I mean, that's
No,
you're not letting me have anything.
Stop,
It's fact.
Stop.
Fact.
So
Can we talk about Eddie mocks me for last week's news and then tweets about quote tweets the exact tweet I'm conversating about?
Josh, I got to keep up.
Busted.
I got to keep
Busted.
up. We got to keep up with what's going on.
Okay, so moving on from angry Eddie Twitter troll Guatemala humor. So here's the
Not
other
humor,
thing.
it's facts.
Here's the other thing. Is what's driving me insane is the whole Austin Kendall's going to transfer now. Like, Lincoln Riley has never named Kyler Murray the starter. And look, I think that I'm pretty sure Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback at Oklahoma next year, but it's not carved in stone. There's still a summer, there's still a fall, and Austin Kendall was pretty good in the spring. And I'm not doing this just to be like, oh, we need to do everything we can to keep Austin Kendall around. Austin Kendall, except for an interception, played better. And I said this after the spring game, guys. Kyler Murray is not going to show you how special he is in a controlled scrimmage situation like that, where someone can touch him and the play can be over. But but stop panicking about Austin Kendall transferring. The guy is still going to compete for the job.
Yeah.
And you know what? Kyler Murray's going to be gone after next year. So Austin Kendall, what would you rather do? Go sit out a year and transfer and wait to play a year somewhere else at a crappy program? Or have a shot at being the quarterback while Spencer Rattler probably redshirts as a freshman?
I mean, that'd
and
be the case.
Is that the best thing for your program, too? That's the other question.
Tanner Mordecai, you have Rattler, Kendall. That looks like the 2019 quarterback picture.
You know,
I was on Waco radio yesterday talking about this Kyler Murray deal, and let me just say that any illusion that Tanner Mordecai cannot be the next Heisman Trophy winner is not acceptable in the Waco area.
Oh, they didn't have you on to talk about Parrish Cobb and how he's the evil of Oklahoma football?
No, that didn't come up at all. They were just wanting to talk about the whole Kyler Murray thing. It was a good interview. I enjoyed doing it, but I kind of said, Mordecai I think can be a good steady player. I think he can be a quality piece for Oklahoma. I don't know that I see him as the next superstar quarterback. I kind of see that as Spencer Rattler, the guy that's committed, going to be a high school senior. And I wouldn't say I was totally rebuffed, but they clearly they kind of led me out of the segment. I could hear them talking about, Tanner Mordecai could be, he's got all the ability in the world to be the next guy. And I'm like, well, we'll see, I guess. No one saw it coming from the last Central Texas OU quarterback. So, whatever.
With Smokey?
Yes, David Smoke, a guy I've known forever and ever.
He's a good guy. But he's definitely all about, Baylor and high school football in that area.
He was the first radio interview I ever did, and let me tell you, gentlemen, it was one of the worst things you've ever heard. It was real, real bad.
Talking to the power of two.
He does Waco Midway's sideline reporting.
Does he?
On their radio broadcast.
He also, Baylor's old press box, he also took a laptop that had like an 18-inch screen on it and sat in front of me, and I couldn't see dick the entire
I thought that
game.
was his dad.
David Smoke.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Craig.
Craig is his son. Yeah.
Craig Smoke does the sideline reporting.
Oh, okay. So anyway, feel free to weigh in on any hot Austin Kendall takes.
I think it's interesting that, Kyler, I guess what I'm trying to, I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Completely lost.
By the way, I tweeted, David Smoke followed me, and I tweeted a picture of his laptop that game. I was like, came to watch the Baylor game, but thanks to this guy and his giant laptop.
Was that the first game at, what's it called?
I think he still hates me to this day for that.
I forgot what it's called. The stadium down there? Not Floyd Casey.
Yeah, Floyd
The new
Casey.
one?
That was the old one.
No, what was the new one called?
Well, if you wouldn't have said Floyd Casey, I would have. It's Lane Stadium, I think.
Oh, yeah, McLean Stadium.
McLean Stadium.
The house that
Art Briles built.
I was going to use a different word.
That Rape built.
Yeah. Is that what that... I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe. I was just trying to
Glad
think,
you're thinking this
think that through.
All
I don't know
right.
if that's marketable.
So I think we've adequately discussed the Kyler Murray situation. I did get a chance to talk to Lincoln Riley about some other things in Tulsa. We did talk about the early kickoffs, which were kind of a topic when Fox and ESPN released their early schedule. OU will start with Florida Atlantic at 11, which seems stupid because that's a marquee game for an opening weekend that I can't believe there are other. I mean, you've always got the big neutral site games to start. Who's doing the Arlington thing this year? Anybody know? Arlington Stadium, first week of the season, big game.
Oh, like who's playing in it?
Yeah, it was
Isn't
like
it Alabama
Is
again?
Alabama doing it again?
I believe so. It's
You've always got. I'm just saying, you've always got that game.
There's one in Houston too that's pretty good.
Oh, they're still
they
doing the
started doing it.
Advocare
Last
thing.
year they had, what was it, or 2 years ago it was LSU and Wisconsin. And I
2
can't
years
remember
ago,
who
it was OU getting beat by Houston.
Correct.
Louisville and Alabama is what I'm well, that's at Camping World Stadium. Where is Camping
That's in
World
Orlando.
Stadium? That's in Orlando, okay.
What a shit show
Ole
that
Miss
place
Tech
is.
is in Houston on September 1st.
Well,
I got it all right here. Louisville, Alabama, and Orlando. Washington and Auburn in Atlanta. That's the I think
okay.
that's
the-
just the news.
That's
the
nice. That would be a
headliner.
good one.
Yeah.
Colorado State. They always play. Seems like the first
So
week
how
of the
is
year.
OU FAU at 11? If those are the games you're giving
Texas,
me.
Maryland, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and West Virginia, Tennessee. In Charlotte is your opening weekend, and then Miami and LSU play in Dallas on September 2nd, Sunday, September 2nd.
Okay.
I guess is that Labor Day weekend?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and then 2 weeks later, TCU hosts Ohio State at Jerry World.
Interesting. That's good. Okay, so you have an 11 a.m. kick for the first game of the season. Then you have a noon kick against UCLA, which is another ludicrous scheduling deal. And then you play Iowa State the next week. Is that 11? Or that's 11?
In Ames.
Right. Yeah, which is going to be terrible for us. Because I'm not going to get to go to Hickory Park, which just screws up everything.
Why not?
When are we going to get to go to Hickory Park? We're going to stay in Des Moines.
After the game.
The game's at 11.
Time they close
Oh, it's going to be a
open
4-hour
time.
wait after the game.
Think. Not if.
You saw how big that place is. You know that
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm thinking that people get in.
their corned beef is the tits.
It's all right.
You didn't get that. You got like
Not the corned beef,
weird
but
barbecue.
I got the barbecue. Isn't that what you're supposed to get there?
I don't get barbecue in Iowa.
That's my point.
I mean, I don't get ribs.
There's better places to eat in Des Moines.
You shut your mouth. Bob's going to get to enjoy it, and he's going to love it. I guarantee you.
We're not going to go. Right? It's going to be closed.
Well, you convinced me to go after the game.
I think
now.
it's closed. I think it's going to be closed. The
They'll
whole
run out of
restaurant-
food.
The whole restaurant might be closed by then.
The town, it'll just be gone. So anyway, yeah, the early kickoffs. The thing that really hurts OU is that UCLA game, though, right,
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, because you're looking at those marquee non-conference battles to be at least afternoon, if not night. 2012 versus Notre Dame was at night. 2014 Tennessee, night game. 2016 Buckeyes, night game. So to all of a sudden have that switched to noon, I don't know how the heck you're going to bring in any top-tier kid, because it's just so hard when they play Friday night, and especially if they play on the West Coast, because then they're ending their high school football game around midnight Central Time and trying to get them in on time for the game and coherent and actually enjoy the 2 days instead of just trying to do a rush job of getting them in.
So, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you have to schedule all that stuff so far in advance. So now you have to look at, you can't guarantee that they're going to have a marquee night game the rest of the season, really. I mean, what is the home schedule, Eddie? It's what's your likelihood? OSU?
You got to hope Bedlam. You have to hope.
Is your marquee
and that's
night
probably
game?
going to be, I mean, because anything else, Baylor doesn't do anything.
You go to
Kansas
TCU.
State. The home schedule outside of they had
you go to West Virginia.
Yeah, if they had just regular non-con games this year, like North Florida or whoever, directional school, whatever, it would be a terrible schedule.
Yeah.
Florida Atlantic, UCLA, Army, Baylor, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Kansas.
Yeah, OSU's really your only, and you got to
Yep.
hope that OSU's pretty good this year, which they're probably not going to be with a new quarterback.
Yeah, you won't know
Now
by
the thing
November
is,
10th.
the thing you can say that last year they made Texas Tech the homecoming weekend as the big one. That was the Buki. That was Ronnie Perkins. That didn't look like a big game. They turned it into a big weekend. So you could always see Riley try to do something like that.
Here's Lincoln Riley talking about the troubles with the early kickoffs and his frustrations.
I had to talk to Joe and blow off some steam before I came in here on that one. I mean, it is what it is. Look, some years you're going to get a good draw on it. Some years you're not. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, we're not the only ones making the call on it. But I think when you've got the premier team in your league, then there at least needs to be some equity. You don't need to have a string of 3 or 4 of them, which we're going to have. And so, listen, whenever they tell us to kick off at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m., we're going to be there ready to play. But there's other things like recruiting, being good for your fan base, opposing fan base, team traveling in. Now you got UCLA traveling in here through 2 time zones. Get here early. Their fans are going to be kicking off at 10 a.m. for their fans. One of our marquee non-conference games, so not great for recruiting. So you wish that you wish things were better, but it doesn't always go your way. That's part of it. We'll be ready to play at noon there, 11 o'clock on the others.
And Josh, from a football standpoint, yes, he's right. It's good. I mean, and players like playing early. They don't like sitting around in a hotel all day waiting for a night game. So they're for that. But, Josh, we all know this staff is built for recruiting, which is why they've been so successful. And that's just a frustrating way to have your marquee game start at noon.
Well, and it's only greater because of the fact that Oklahoma put so much emphasis on recruiting, not only in California, but in Southern California. I mean, you were going to have a lot of kids that either A, were interested in both OU and UCLA, or, maybe were more interested in UCLA and Oklahoma has a chance to kind of turn their attention, whatever the case may be. You really had a chance to build some momentum, and that's just not going to happen. I mean, now, Oklahoma, people are going to get kind of crazy. I'm sure there'll be a guy or two that has a week off and it'll work out fine. And Oklahoma will be able to bring in some guys. But, even a 2:30 kickoff is possible. But the West Coast, an 11 o'clock kick, forget about it, man. That's just never going to work for a guy that has a Friday night game, because even if you put him on a red eye and he flies in and he gets to Oklahoma City at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, that dude's going to be dead on his feet. It's not going to be a good visit. It's not going to be what you want to present to what is undoubtedly one of your top remaining targets, because at that point, Oklahoma's probably only going to have 5 or 6 open spots. So it's going to be very choosy as far as who they bring in. So it's a bad break. Now, I will say, you talk about the football side of it, and I know it's been mentioned, but how crappy is that break for UCLA, the football team? I mean, you're going to get into the committee and talk about body clocks. They're going to be at 9 a.m. on their clock. I mean, there's no way that team's going to be ready to play.
And then, Josh, this happened with OU last year, right? With Iowa State weekend, they were looking to load up a bit. I know Nick Benito was supposed to come in, right? And then when they moved it to an 11 o'clock kickoff, they waited till the banquet to bring him in. So it actually, in that case, it worked out in the Sooners' favor. But This is something that sort of happens every now and again. It just feels more magnified because this is the non-conference game.
I like how we're already spin zoning it into excuses if they get beat by UCLA.
Is that what we're doing?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just bullshitting.
Bob, we need to know if you're going to be able to handle a drunken podcast after the UCLA game. That went really well last year.
Wait, what?
Just need Iowa
I don't
State
know
to
why
happen
people
again.
like that so much. I didn't even think it was that good.
I didn't think it was either.
It was a great podcast.
The
Took me
only one
7
that you
hours
could
to
tell.
I
edit
want
it.
that. We don't need to edit. We need to stop editing.
No, that would have been a total train wreck without editing.
Oh yeah, Eddie. There was like 20. I mean, you got to be like for everyone that doesn't know. I was the only one not drinking in that podcast, and there were large chunks of time where I'm thinking, I really wish we could have that time back because that was just garbage podcast time.
Nah,
That
was talking it out. That was just men being men.
We would have killed our podcast. Like people would have just been like,
I think
I'm
it
never listening to
ignited the
this
podcast,
again.
in my opinion.
I
Can
cannot.
you also see like Lincoln Riley just sitting inside Joe's back house, maybe sharing a cigarette together, talking about the kickoff times? That's what I
Listen
envision.
to the podcast.
Probably. That's what I
Yeah.
envisioned, though, when Riley says he had to blow off some steam.
Why can I not find UCLA in the national team rankings?
Because what I've been saying for years. You don't go to UCLA to win football games.
Like, I don't see them. I'm going through the entire list.
What are you looking for?
UCLA in the national team rankings on Rivals.
Oh.
Because Oregon is killing it.
Well, I was looking because I had a question for you guys, for anybody that wanted to answer. Like, is UCLA, because OU does, recruit a lot of the players that UCLA is going after, and Chip Kelly being the guy that he is OU just in good position until they start winning out there? Because Chip Kelly's not really a dynamic personality. I mean, he hired, the hitmen. Who are the guys' names? I can't even remember now. The video guys that they were paying money to under the table.
Are you talking about Will Lyles?
Lyles, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were clearly cheating at Oregon.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I'd be more scared of USC than UCLA.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, it's never bad for Oklahoma to have one of those teams down.
No, not at all.
You don't want UCLA and USC both being top 10 programs.
That is really weird. They are not in the Rivals
I
team
guess you have to
rankings.
go to UCLA's page. Is it just UCLA.rivals?
I have no idea.
I know. By the way, weird Rivals.
Okay, this is even weirder. According to Rivals.com, UCLA is no longer a school.
No, BruinBlitz.com.
They aren't even on the. Look at this.
I've got them.
It's by conference.
Oh, really? And they don't have UCLA in there?
No.
They are listed as not having a single 2019 commitment.
Wow.
Well, then maybe that's why.
Well,
Seriously?
that can't be right.
Commitment
That
list.
just
Okay,
can't
I'm going
be
to their
right.
commitment list. They have 0 total commitments.
Nobody in
Rivals.
2020, nobody in 21. I mean, don't get me wrong. Chip Kelly is not a dedicated recruiter, but I don't think he's that piss poor.
And still, he starts paying for it.
They finished 17th in 2018.
Well, they were supposed to get Buki. That was all the rage that they were going to flip Buki.
Well, and Eddie knows they were going to get Joe Mixon.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie's still a little triggered about that.
It's possible.
The guys that came and covered that whole thing were douchebags. We can say that now.
Well, you can definitely say it now.
Okay, so yeah, I guess there's probably an issue with UCLA. This is so inside Rivals because the publisher took a job as a producer for TMZ Sports, and now they're bringing back Rick Kimbrell to cover UCLA. So I don't know. Was there like sabotage? Did Edward Lewis, the former publisher, go in and just remove all the commitments?
That would be funny. I mean, it wouldn't be funny, but that would be kind of funny.
Rivals espionage, interior espionage. Would that be? from within?
I mean, why
UCLA
would you,
has to have a commitment.
why would you do that when you're spending all your time
I don't
chasing down like Khloe Kardashian to talk about Tristan Thompson?
Sorry, John Tallman, but I'm going to go to 24/7 Sports and check this out.
Maybe they just don't have any. Maybe they're going to shut down the program. That'd be very California, Los Angeles of them. Just shut the program
UCLA
down.
has to have a commitment.
Maybe colleges are straying away from sports.
Let's see this train wreck of a site here. How do you go to anything? There's football recruiting. Commitments. It's blank.
They don't have one.
They don't have a commitment. How is that possible? You're in California. You're in Southern California. And you don't have a single commitment.
They should fire. Oh, they already did. Jim Moore is such a loser.
Well, they got Chip Kelly. I mean,
Right. I know.
I am an utter I still can't process this.
that UCLA doesn't have a single commitment.
Guys, the four of us being the only staff members, we could have a damn commitment at UCLA right now.
You mean if we were recruiting?
Yes. And we're not even half of a full staff.
I just get Soso Jamambo to recommit and give him like 3 Asians.
Well, I mean, as long as he'll pick you over, the University of Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. That's true. Well played.
Is Donald Glover, is he a UCLA guy or a USC guy? Or either?
Well, he's
no
from
idea.
Georgia.
He's an
Is he from
Atlanta
Georgia?
guy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why he did
he's
Atlanta.
like Stone Mountain.
Which is fantastic as a series, by the way.
Atlanta's, it's incredible. I love, he's one of those guys, for me right now, that can literally do no wrong. I love Atlanta. I thought he was awesome as Lando, and Gambino is one of my favorite rappers out there. So,
Okay, well, we've worn off the shock of UCLA not having a commitment.
It's crazy.
We actually even went to an inferior website to double
Maybe
check
they'll
it.
get on board at some point.
So,
Get one
I mean,
kid.
there we go. I mean, Chip Kelly, he needs a win in Norman, obviously. But I think that's fine for Oklahoma that they're sucking that hard. That they're not even listed in the national rank. Or even in, that's a quirk in our database, I think we've just figured, that even if you don't have a commitment, you should still be listed in your conference. You just have 0 points.
What the disrespect.
I think I'm going to bring that up with the programming team later today.
I mean, can you imagine if that was if it was Oklahoma and they weren't even listed?
Holy shit.
And I guarantee you, people just do not care out there.
I'm going to say Howard Schnellenberger could have at least one commitment right now.
Okay, I don't want to quote who I've just heard this from, but I contacted someone who would know what's going on at UCLA.
Uh-huh.
Exact quote here. Chip Kelly literally ignores kids and doesn't talk to any 2020 kids, even 5 stars.
I love it.
That's
recruiting.
God, what a savage.
That's recruiting in 2018.
This is going to be a train wreck.
Him and her.
What the hell is going on?
Maybe
It was a weird
Well,
fit
isn't
because
Chip Kelly a
he's
known
all,
racist? Maybe he's just trying to put together an Aryanhood brotherhood team.
What? Because of what happened to the Eagles and Riley Cooper?
Well, don't the brothers hate him?
Oh, there was that stuff about that.
Yeah.
Who
kinda
came
forgot
out?
about
It
it,
was a
but-
running back, wasn't it? That came out and was like, "Yeah, he hates."
Oh, I think it was.
It wasn't Westbrook, was it?
No. It was. God, why can't I think of his name? He's Mr. Fantasy. Went to the Bills.
LaShawn McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Brian
weird.
Westbrook, yeah. that's
By the
probably
way, is
what
LaShawn McCoy, was he not maybe the most ignored recruit coming out of high school, by the big boys?
It was definitely Rival's fault, I'm sure.
I thought.
I mean, he was a 5-star.
Yeah, but I mean, it just seemed like nobody really was interested in him, and that's why he ended up going to Pitt, right?
Well, hang on. Let me pull it up. I mean, don't get me wrong. He definitely had plenty of attention, but I think when you're talking relative to maybe some other
maybe
elite
I'm talking more
players-
like he just had no interest in the big boys. It seemed.
Let's see. He took he took officials to Penn State, USC, Virginia Tech. I mean, so good, but you're not wrong, and that's not gonna. I mean, when you're talking, he was the him as the number 43 player in the country. I mean, I guess that's about right for where he was. I mean, as far as those offers, that's probably not too crazy. But I mean,
43,
it's definitely.
Go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
No. It's definitely not exciting. I mean, it's not a list that blows you away. I mean, Penn State, he's a Pennsylvania kid. USC, I mean, that was 05. So, I mean, USC was getting everybody to come in at that point.
43
and
is
Virginia Tech, whatever.
43 is right. 43 is right on the cut line of still grinding to be hated on.
Oh yeah, you could totally.
Like if you're number
if social
43
media was bigger
overall,
then, yeah, he totally would have been.
People hate you.
You're still slept on.
Yeah, you're being slept on at number 43 overall.
Yeah, there totally would have been a lot of disrespect tweets back in his day.
So who's doing better, Chip Kelly or Herm Edwards?
I mean, Herm Edwards probably has a couple.
He has commits, doesn't he?
No, yeah, they just got a quarterback from Oregon, from West Lynn. Wow. Peyton Pritchard's high school.
This is
full circle, Eddie. Nice.
You like that?
How is this not like a thing nationally?
Because nobody cares about UCLA football. I feel like that's.
But I mean, college football. I'm gonna text George Schroeder about this immediately after the show because we need national coverage of the fact that UCLA has 0 commitments.
Arizona State has 100% more commitments.
Together an Aryan Hood Brotherhood.
They have one. Arizona State has one.
They have one. The guy that Eddie's talking about, that's their first commitment. They got him on, let's see, Monday.
You need to text George and directly say, why doesn't Chip Kelly have a commit, ... and why is he putting together an Aryan Brotherhood to play football at UCLA? I don't think Snoop Dogg's... no, Snoop is a USC guy, right?
Yeah, but his son was...
Yeah, he went to UCLA,
yes.
but then he pulled him out,
Correct. Because he can go into the music career, I thought, if I remember right.
Still waiting for that mixtape to drop.
Well, which based on his tape was probably the right move all along. There was never a dude that was... Like, some of these guys, people are like, oh, it's just because he's somebody's kid. I'm like, no, he's actually a good football player. No, that dude was famous because his dad was who he was.
And he played at Bishop Gorman.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
With the other biggest douchebag in sports.
Oh, your favorite QB of all. QB1, Freddie.
QB1.
Tate Martell. Is he in line at Ohio State? Is that their next move?
I would think Dwayne Haskins would be but I don't follow the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know who was. It was the kid that visited OU eventually that tweeted and pissed off Urban Meyer that Haskins should have started against OU last year.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Micah Parsons when he tweeted about Haskins. That's right.
Okay, so let's move on and talk about some of what we saw yesterday in regards to new guys on campus. A lot of players are out working camps right now. We saw Q Overton and trying to think.
They were all out there. Dru Samia, Kenneth Murray, Creed Humphrey.
I have some Dru Samia news for you. He spent 15 hours in a tattoo parlor getting his arm sleeved with what would you call that, Bob? Samoan or
they said tribal. Tribal is how they told it to us.
See, tribal to me,
but
I think of Dusty Dvorak, and
that sounds bad.
You know that tribal sounds bad. You think that's not PC enough?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Bob doesn't want to get attacked on Twitter.
Tribal.
The fear of words has struck Bob again.
Hailismed.
Oh God.
But no, he spent 15 hours.
So long.
Over 2 days.
It'd been sweet if they would have.
This is what he told me. This is what he said. He sat in the chair for 10 hours, and he tracked this guy down because he wanted him to do his tattoo, and he knew of him in San Jose, but then he moved his shop to Vegas, so he went to Vegas to get the tattoo. He sat in a chair for 10 hours, went to bed, the next morning woke up, went immediately back, and finished it off for another 5 hours. You know how sore your arm would have to be to go right back the next morning?
Am I the only one of us that has tattoos? I assume that's the case.
Okay, wait a minute. I saw Josh. Do you have a tattoo on your chest?
I do. I have 3
a Josh
tattoos.
Swimming pool tattoo that I didn't know. It was like when I found out Landry Jones had all those tattoos at Pro Day.
Do you guys want to know a fun fact? If my family is listening to this, they just found out I have more than one tattoo.
Wow.
So you have 3.
I have 3. And the reasoning for them not knowing was my grandmother on my mom's side was super, like, she was like, whatever, I don't care. You know, like, she was very relaxed. And that's who when I turned 18, that's who I lived with after the whole situation with my mom. We're not going to bring the podcast down, so we won't go into that. But when I got it literally the day of my 18th birthday, which is in December. So, I wore pants for a long time, not to hide it, just because it's December in Oklahoma. I wore pants. So I had the one on my leg. Well, the first time summer comes around, my dad and that side of my family sees me. They're like, oh no. Well, they're like, don't get another one. Well, at that point, I already had another one. And so I was like, sure, whatever. I'm not going to get into this with you. We're not going to do this. So I just never said anything. And since then have added another one. But my most recent one is, probably 12 years old. I mean, I've had all these for a while now. So, yeah, some people refer to me as the illustrated man. That's
living the bad boy life.
That's how I roll. Don't tell my parents
What
about
is the
tattoos.
one on the chest?
It's 2 letters. It's B and K, and it's something a bunch of friends of mine got. It's something that dates back to high school.
Oh my God!
If I explain it on this podcast, I will sound like a horse's ass.
You did the Chris Sims, Kyle.
Yeah. Well, they're all.
What's the coach's name, son?
Coach's
name. Chris
Jordan
Sims
Shipley?
and Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan. Oh. Now, is Kyle Shanahan? Is he the? Wait a minute. He's not the NFL coach, Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy crap! He and Chris Sims
really promising NFL head coach. Yeah.
They got the same tag.
The head coach of NFL team. Man, that blows my mind too. This is the True Truther podcast today.
Well, we're not getting into the real truths about the country, but
oh God. Now I will say all of ours are the same lettering. None of them look alike. They're all different in their own way. It's just the same 2 letters. Now everything else varies.
Who has the best tattoo game in recent memory at Oklahoma? Because I remember Lindy Holmes was pretty tatted up. Like his tat game, he spent some time and some dollars in the chair.
Lindy Holmes, still the biggest disparity of a guy that runs on the football field versus he was like the anti-Trey Franks. He couldn't run on a track to save his life, but dude looked really fast playing football.
It's incredible.
Now, dude, Lindy Holmes, remember when he chased down that dude at A&M?
Yes, that's crazy. I mean, that dude looked like he was standing still, and that was like an A&M receiver.
I remember seeing that. Thinking
SEC speed.
It was like somebody hit the power up button or something.
And then I think at Pro Day he ran like 4.76 or something.
Yeah, everybody was surprised that he ran as slow as he did.
Yep. Now maybe it was just I'm not going to the NFL and he didn't spend much time training. But
didn't give a damn.
You can't say how Gus Johnson would describe that speed because he's not white. He could do it for Clint.
Same
Shelf.
way Brian Davis would.
No. You remember when Clint Shelf was scoring a touchdown for Texas Tech and Gus Johnson's call was he's got get away from the cop speed?
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
No,
I don't remember
we
that.
play that all the time on the morning show.
I thought you said that about Chris Johnson.
No, it's Clint Shelf.
Okay.
Maybe he did it twice.
Maybe he did do it for an NFL game. Because he did did he do the Titans games?
I don't know.
Maybe
he might have said that. But he
it
definitely
could have been
said
when Chris
it.
Johnson was in college, maybe.
He definitely said it about Clint Shelf when he was running it at the Texas Tech game.
That's awesome. That'd be in my Twitter bio if somebody said that about me.
I will. This is what I'll always remember about Lindy Holmes, though, is there was a certain coach. We were talking about Lindy in the off season. It was right before camp started, and I won't say who the coach was, but the coach turned to me at one point as we were talking about Lindy and what he's doing and how he could get better, and he just looked at me. He said, What he really needs to do is stop having so many damn kids. And that was when I learned that Lindy had like 8 children.
He has a family.
He was the Antonio Cromartie of his era.
He was. He was OU's Antonio. He was OU's Calvin Murphy.
He has a rather large family. He'll be going to a lot of graduations.
That's a good way to look at it, Eddie. That's very
paying for a lot of weddings.
I don't know if that will happen, but I know he'll be going to a lot of graduations.
To me, that's everybody always asks me, like, does it pain you to have, like, do you want a boy? And of course, like most guys, yeah, I'd love to have a boy, but it doesn't bother me. I love having 2 little girls and all that comes with that. What pains me is paying for a wedding someday. Like, I've seen up close how scary and painful that shit is, and I don't want any part of that, and I got to do it twice. I'm going to have to sell, like, literally, I'm going to sell organs on the black market.
Or a 2 for 2, I mean. Not a 2 for 1. 2 for 2.
I mean, if we could marry them off on the same day, Eddie, I like where your head's at, but I know they won't go for it.
One at 11 a.m., one at 6.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Reception in between and after.
Love it. Good and sauced at the second wedding. There you go.
That might be a new business venture. You can get 2 weddings for one. You have to.
He's thinking.
Yeah.
Wheels are grinding.
Actually, you know what that's called?
What?
Two weddings in one day? Somewhat. Kind of being Mormon, isn't it?
No.
No? Because I'm just thinking like multiple
that
weddings.
Joke did not land.
It didn't?
No.
Well, I just won't open the door next time they come around the neighborhood.
Okay.
You screwed me with the jokes, Mormons.
Okay, we got to Dru Samia, and then the podcast just fell off the rails. We were talking about newcomers. We talked about Tramonda Moore to open the podcast, seeing him. Who else did we see that was kind of trickling? Because Saturday, you mentioned Bob. Bob and I were talking before Eddie got there. You mentioned that a lot of guys weren't around except for the guys working the camp, just because. So they had move-in day over the weekend. And so now we see we talk about Braden Willis. He's kind of my new man crush. Saw him.
Jalen Robinson with his hair stands out.
Oh yeah, that is some hair. He's not a really tall guy.
No,
pretty small.
Him and Crawford. That's why it's going to be interesting to see what they do with those two.
I'm trying to think. Adrian Ely cut off all his hair.
So did A.D. Miller.
A.D. Miller cut off all his hair.
Maybe that's a Benny Wiley thing. He's making them shave their heads.
Oh, Benny Wiley looks like a homeless person. He has a giant beard. It's kind of turning gray.
And he wears the hoodie and the sweatpants in the 90-degree heat.
He looks like it's winter.
That's an intimidating move when it's 105 and you got a guy out there wearing
Got to keep that 12-pack going.
Are we talking about the homeless dude that could just beat the living bejesus out of all of us together?
Oh, yeah.
He is the type of guy that
he would survive the zombie apocalypse.
He would hurt you in different ways. Like a punch, he's not punching anybody. He's like going for like veins and like...
Oh, he's that guy that carries around a stick and murders people.
He doesn't need a stick.
But he does.
He's a bare hand brawler.
Just because.
He kills bears with a stick.
It's safe to say Benny Wiley is a bad mother.
God, that was wasted. Mark.
Now, we were talking about kids coming in. To that point, there's still 2 that have not shown up, and Ron Tatum and Daryl Simpson. Now, me and Josh are both hearing it's not time to hit the panic button, but at the earliest, what do you think, middle July, Josh?
That's what it sounds like. I mean, I think with both Daryl and Ron, they're going to be okay. I thought the 2 real concerns were Tramonda and Kendarius Taylor. I'll go ahead and say I'll be very surprised if Kendarius Taylor steps on campus this season. I just don't see that happening. Because Bob, you know how it is. You talk to people and they're like, yeah, we're waiting for this, waiting for that. When I talk about him, it's just kind of like, yeah, everything kind of just tails off. Like, there's no story to add to what the problem is. So I don't think anybody is really expecting much. And as we actually got a good tip on it. He actually signed JUCO. He double signed back on signing day. So I mean, there's just not a lot of reason to think that anything is going to come of that.
So that was back on signing day. He double signed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep, he did. And honestly, I learned something new. There are some ways to check on things like that I did not know about. So hopefully, I don't get caught, I guess, wrong-footed again. So
Has he tweeted since? Because remember he said it was going to be his last day on Twitter, and I think that was going to be because people are going to realize he's not in Norman.
That's what I thought too. Like he was shutting it down because he knew he was going to get a bunch of questions. Or he shut it down.
How that works with kids.
To me, I also kind of thought he shut it down because he found out that day like he wasn't going to be able to make it.
Yeah, I hope that's the case because I never understand kids that drag stuff like that out when, you can't run from the truth when you're not going to be able to enroll somewhere. It doesn't make sense to me why somebody would lie about something like that. Well, then they are idiots.
The only one who came clean to me was Brandon Glenn. You remember him from a few? He told me flat out, I did not do the work. I'm not qualifying. I've got 2 years to try to do something.
He was the defensive tackle out of North Dallas, right?
Yep.
Rangeview. Yep.
I went and saw them.
I ran across some photos of him the other day from. I think Justin Manning was at the same camp he was at.
Here, right?
Yeah.
In Norman at OU camp.
Didn't he come over? Didn't Justin Manning come over to your house after
him
that?
And a bunch of kids from Kimball. Yeah.
Along with David Robinson. That was like the first introduction of David Robinson kind of into the recruiting world.
Absolutely.
Interesting. You didn't let him have beer, did you?
No. Gave him a bunch of cocaine and marijuana.
Strippers.
We had a party.
They were like,
Rippy Magoos all over the place.
So you can have a stripper pole in your house when you grow up?
I said, Justin, that's for what we like to call sluts.
Well, it didn't work because he went to A&M.
I did. I guess he wanted to be part of the Corps. He wanted to be part of the fake army.
You were doing more recruiting than Jackie Shipp was at that time.
There's no doubt about that. That's a fact.
By the way, Eddie wasn't like having high school kids come hang out at his house. They were doing scoop stuff, interviews, and all that. So,
we did an
because
interview
you can't
with
do
him
anything
and a
on
couple other
campus
kids.
at that time. Compliance was on our butts about not interviewing people on campus.
I just think like I've only done that a couple times. Met somebody like at a
different
location. I met Josh. You're gonna have to remind me. Was it DeJuan Miller that I met in Norman at a hotel one time?
I think it was.
I think it was
in the lobby, folks. Let's just
come into my suite.
Yeah,
would you like
that.
some candy?
It wasn't like that. You'd have to be
laced with date rape.
You'd have to be a House of Representative in Oklahoma to do that.
Oh my God. Jesus. Okay.
I still adhere to that because I did that last night. I didn't talk to any of the kids. I just got their phone numbers.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Recruiting conversations can be taken really the wrong way.
Compliance appreciates that. Okay, so anything else that just stood out to you guys about just being at camp last night?
No, not necessarily last night. I've been pretty impressed with the Trace Ford kid out of Edmond Santa Fe. I've seen him a couple times. Nikel Davis is going to have a big junior season, or he's kind of primed to have a big junior season. I think that the guys that we saw, I think Ray Barnett from Edmond Santa Fe, going back to last week in Owasso's team camp, he's a guy that Josh has seen. Bob, you've obviously seen him. We saw him up at the team camp. I think he's a pretty good football player.
And you guys kind of thought Trace Ford was one of the stars of the Owasso team camp, right?
Yeah, he's just. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think that Oklahoma's ever gonna knock on that door, but someone somewhere is gonna get a good player. He can get after the quarterback.
It just felt like when Joseph Wete committed last weekend.
Yeah,
that was Trace Ford's spot.
Yeah, I think that closed the door completely. Yeah,
so so you just said a name, Bob.
Did I say it right?
Did you say it right? I felt like maybe you had confidence and that was how it was said.
The little accent mark over the E makes me think you say Tay.
It's not an umlaut. It's an accent, I guess.
I could totally be wrong.
Umlauts are for Amsterdam.
It's not a what? The hell are you talking about?
What, an umlaut?
I've never heard that expression in my life.
Like, Motley Crue, those things that are over there.
Oh.
What is this?
I know what they are. I never would have known the name of them.
The Inye and the what?
Umlaut?
What's the other one? Umlaut?
Yeah.
We weren't taught that at Putnam City North High School. Or after
You
middle
can
school,
learn
wherever.
things past high school, Eddie.
I don't care. I only care about English.
So yeah, Bob and I were having that discussion. Like, could it be if he had like Cajun roots, it'd be like Watay? Do you know the answer to that, Josh?
I do not know the answer to that. I do know that I have no belief that he has any Cajun roots. I believe he is a Nigerian-born guy.
Oh, okay.
Is my understanding. So now
I've never seen a Nigerian dude with that in his name.
Yep. So I don't, like I said, don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I've been led to believe. So I won't claim that I know the kid that well. Like when coming off his official, it sounded like it went well, but it sounded kind of like both parties were like, well, we'll wait and see and kind of see what's going to happen down the line. I didn't get the impression that OU was pushing hard. I didn't feel like he was near a decision. So that whole thing kind of played funny to me. But I think
it is.
Oh, God.
I bet some of that money that's missing that Scott Pruitt used, he just took down. I mean, the kid's in D.C. Maybe Scott Pruitt's a bag man.
We could only hope.
You think the Sooner Scoop podcast is blared throughout the EPA during the afternoon?
I don't know. Scott Pruitt, is he an OU guy?
Well, he spent some of those flights were back to OU games.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the big deals was he was at the Rose Bowl.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
What's up, Scott? You never responded to me on Twitter.
I had something. And your rando...
We talk about Marcus Alexander if you want. You want to go?
We can talk about a guy that we can say his name, Marcus Alexander.
By the way, no, I know what I was going to say. That racially insensitive recruiting discussion, once again brought to you by, I don't know, your public library. How about that? Okay, Alexander, go.
Josh, have
Wow.
have you seen him in person, Josh?
Well, to be fair, we all did. You, me, and Eddie saw him at the Dallas.
He was at the Dallas. Oh, okay.
But we were, like he was on our radar. I won't pretend that I paid him much mind. I mean, he was just a guy that was there. When I will say, I'll go into watching him on tape. I like the guy. I think it's a good offer from Oklahoma. I think it's clearly a guard for OU. A guy that really. He's listed at about 285, 290, but he carries that really well. Like, he'll be 310, 320 without any problem. He's going to be a really big, the kind of guard you think of when you'll think of Bill Bedenbaugh. He fits in that really well. He needs some time to develop. I know he talked about coming in and playing as a freshman with guys like Marquee Hayes and,
Tyrese Robinson?
Yes, couldn't get there. I got Robinson, couldn't get the first name. Tyrese Robinson and some of the other interior guys OU signed. I don't think that's either going to be necessary or really all that possible. But he's definitely a promising guy. I think people see 3-star and kind of wrote him off, but he's definitely a guy that can play to me.
Yeah, we saw a little Marquee Hayes yesterday.
There's nothing little about him. That guy.
That's a mountain of a man.
He's massive.
I mean, he makes... We talked about it earlier in the podcast, how great Tramonda Moore looks.
Uh-huh.
And Tramonda Moore is a big-ass dude.
He's got tree trunks for legs.
Marquee Hayes makes him look not small, but Marquee Hayes is bigger. Like, towers over
Which
him
it's
almost.
kind of confusing to me because, like, Cody Ford is taking off weight. Like, he's trying to get, down to, like, 330, 325. Of course, he's trying to play tackle, too. But it's just like, it seems arbitrary on who gets big and who gets small. I guess it all comes down to how do you carry your weight. It's like Ben Powers carries his weight well. And you don't look at Ben Powers and go, well, that guy's in shape. If you saw Ben Powers like at the hardware store buying a hammer, you'd be like, man, that's a fat dude.
You said it, I didn't.
But he's awesome. That's what I'm saying, Ben. That's what I'm saying. You're awesome.
He's going to show up.
He looks like
So you've called him fat and you've compared him to a serial killer. Or what was that show?
The Accountant.
The Accountant. Not a serial killer, just a hit.
I mean,
He's just
basically a serial killer.
He's just so... I mean, he stares at you.
Unassuming. He's unassuming.
Well, he stares at you like you've done something wrong as you're getting ready to ask him a question, and you can't... Like you wonder, like, well, you don't wonder. Like I remember saying to myself, like, I cannot tell what this guy is thinking, and that scares me a little bit. Because he just has this blank stare.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But then I thought I'd break the tension. I said, you kind of remind me of Ben Affleck in The Accountant.
He's like,
and thankfully he'd seen the movie and he understood the reference. I can't remember what he said exactly, but he kind of laughed and he's like, I'll take it.
But is it that thankful? Like, you've just compared me to a murderer that scares people, that has some social disorders.
I think I would like to be that guy.
Just like the fact that you impose that kind of fear on people.
It depends who the killer is. Like, I wouldn't want to be compared to, like, John Wayne Gacy.
Like, as long as you don't eat your victim.
Yeah. But
as long as you're
really
paid to kill people, it's cool.
Like, what's his name? Trying to think of, what was the serial killer's name?
The Zodiac Killer?
No.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Same wavelength, though. I keep wanting to say...
talking about the guy
not Kevorkian.
in Milwaukee?
Oh, no, he's talking about Dahmer.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Not Jeff... that's another, I wouldn't say good one, but he was out there.
He put people's heads in their freezers.
Jack the Ripper.
No, what was that? What's the...
Sam?
He has a swastika on his head.
Oh, God.
He just died. Charles Manson.
Charles Manson.
Yep.
I don't think you'd want to be compared to him.
No. Well, you'd also have a swastika on your head.
I've offered a lot of advice. I wouldn't trust somebody that has a swastika on their head.
Or a neck tattoo.
Unless...
Look, people with neck tattoos, I'm willing to say that that's possible that they're good people, but it's a bad decision.
Kenyon Martin.
And likely...
Good guy.
Kenyon Martin's a good guy?
Seems like it.
No.
What about old dude that used to play center for the Thunder in the early... No, not for the Thunder, for the Hornets.
Oh, Robert Swift?
No, him too.
Well,
but
Chris
Swift.
Anderson. Birdman.
I used to see Birdman every damn day up at
though, Josh, once again, poor decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
He continually gets banned from the NBA for drug abuse.
Love the ecstasy from what I heard.
Love the Cougars.
Big fan of the MDMA.
Yeah, he always had an interesting crowd around him back at Baker Street on Memorial back in the early 2000s.
What a shout out!
But he didn't
Baker
have
Street.
all the neck tattoos. Then.
Yeah,
I mean he showed up in Miami with the multicolored neck tattoos. But Matt Barnes is where that all started for me, because he was the first famous person I really knew that had a neck tattoo.
And speaking of a scary guy that you wouldn't want to be alone with, Matt Barnes would like eat your head.
No, he's soft.
Yeah, he's capable of cannibalism.
No, he's crazy.
Matt Barnes is not about that action. He almost got his ass beat by Derek Harper.
Fisher.
Derek
that would be a story of Derek Harper.
Sweet.
Bob just perked up. He's like,
That'd be
talking
sweet.
about my boy. You see,
B.J. Armstrong is next on the hit list.
Okay, so recruiting-wise, Bob, you've started your eyeball chart. So let's go down that real quick. 2 left out there right now?
2 left, and we're of the belief that 1 could happen a little sooner than we first thought.
Was it the first or the second that's left out there?
The second one.
Okay.
From late May.
This week, do you think? Anybody want to reveal that?
Yeah, I think in the next 7 days you're looking at something. So
Interesting.
I don't want to tell you which of the 7 days, even though I clearly know. That's right, tease.
Tease.
Is it a day that ends in Y?
It absolutely is, Eddie. That's amazing. AY, you might even say.
Oh.
Yeah.
That narrows it down.
It got crazy there, didn't it? Uh-huh.
Yeah, that narrows it down.
D. What about DAY?
Boom. It's people. Let's not give away too much too fast.
Eddie's actually saying the days of the week in his head right now.
Just going over them, making sure.
Just making sure there's
It's what an investigative
Friday
reporter
in there or something.
What an investigative reporter does, going after every lead. If they would have done that, we would have found John Bonet a long time ago. Or found her killer. They found her.
Dead.
apparently.
This has got to be up on the higher list of podcasts with random drops.
Yeah.
We've got a John Bonet reference in here.
I guarantee you the Soonerscoop.com unofficial 40 podcast is the only place that you will get a John Bonet reference, included a crisis actor in Guatemala reference. What a day.
And discussions of the patrons of closed bars in Oklahoma City.
So do you think the people, do you think the bodies laying in the ash were crisis actors that were just placed there and like somebody shoveled the ash over them?
I mean, they might be. I can't say. I'm not there. And I can't trust what we see on
Twitter,
TV through the slanted media, left or right.
Eddie, depending on your level of interest, I can get you some insight in this. I have special connections in the country of Guatemala.
So, but Josh just admitted to being the guy that supplies the crisis actors, is what I think I just heard.
Are you telling me that you are a drug lord?
Well, not in so many words. No.
Maybe a weed
actually, no, I mean, this is a real thing. One of my very closest friends, is his grandfather was once, I want to say, I don't know what they call it, whatever the ruling guy is. He's not a king, but I can't remember what the title was, of Guatemala for a time. Like that's
what?
No, like
ruler?
for real. Like, and his mother was born in Guatemala. She moved here. Like, it's a whole thing. And Eddie, you actually know this person's wife.
Oh,
this is the coaching friend the guy. Yeah, his daughter's husband.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so you have Guatemalan connections as well.
Okay, so
The home of the blue and the white.
boy, you're internet researching Guatemala right now.
Yeah.
By the way, more breaking news. Appeals court upholds ex-Baylor defensive end Sam Awachku's rape conviction stemming from the 2013 assault of Baylor soccer player.
Hey, hang on. I'm going to hit up the Waco Trib and see what we find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will they actually report that?
It'll probably be former Oklahoma something.
Recruit.
Guy who
Recruit.
played against Oklahoma.
Former
Guy
Oklahoma-
offered by Oklahoma has been convicted.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting how they all of a sudden started reporting crimes against football players.
It's amazing how that works.
Tribune.
Like 2 weeks after, didn't they write like I don't know if it was a column or if it was a story about how Art Briles is still being scapegoated and used as some type of I don't know if scapegoat was the right word, but he's never been. They have no evidence to prove what was alleged, I guess.
I don't know. Let's check in with what's his name from Bleacher Report. Is he still working for Bleacher Report?
Jason King?
Yeah.
Jason King.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm still blocked.
He's probably eating barbecue somewhere.
You know,
Thinking that's cool.
he was one of my better Twitter. Like, I went at him a lot. And he never blocked me, to his
He
credit.
thinks I am you. I guarantee that's what happened.
Okay, because I went at him a lot. Like, any chance
And
I got,
never said
would tag
anything.
him.
I think I defended you, or he came after me for no reason about Joe Mixon. Like, I somehow supported Joe Mixon. And I told him that couldn't be farther from the truth. Joe Mixon has blocked me. He doesn't even speak to me anymore. Just because I was pointing out things that were going on or reporting on, or having Eddie, and RJ back in the day do a video from the courthouse after we had the viewing. Like, and then he blocked me after
What
that.
a time
I was
that
like,
was.
what bullshit.
Time to be alive.
I had him wound up enough at one point that he went after me that I needed to get to the gym.
Yes, he
do
did
remember
make
that.
fun of your
Like,
photo.
It was a photo of you and your daughter.
Yes.
Yep. And I was like, well, my daughter's kind of a chubby kid. You want to go after some, you can fulfill the Baylor ethos and make fun of her.
Ooh.
But, he didn't go down that road. From then, I literally didn't hear anything. And I think when Briles quit, I can't remember what it was, because he was still saying after all that Auburn or LSU was going to hire him. And then I can't remember which one of them's athletic director would have had to have been LSU.
Oh yeah, I remember it was a big uproar.
They made
no
like,
way.
no, we're not interested in Art Briles at all. And
they actually had to release a statement.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
And the story that Eddie's talking about in the Trib, it was the opinion piece where he had just been scapegoated, and Art Briles clearly wasn't, clearly shouldn't have been fired because they paid him a settlement. If he didn't do anything, he shouldn't have taken the settlement.
Yeah,
you should have never
still
quit.
have your job.
Yeah, so don't that's the most backward ass way of looking at that.
By the way, won't Kendall Briles be in Norman?
He will.
Florida Atlantic.
He's the offensive coordinator, right?
He's
So,
their OC.
what's his name? Isn't
Jeff
Jeff Levy
Lebby
with him? Hope he stands on the right sidelines this time. Oh no, he was already on the
Isn't
right
Jeff
sidelines.
Lebby at UCF with Heupel?
Oh no, that's right. I was thinking, did he go to Florida Atlantic for a year? Maybe.
I don't know. He probably scouted some of their games.
Hey, Eddie, you don't have to wear a Target thing at OU for their on-field media stuff, right?
It's always kind of up in the air.
Okay, I was just saying, can we
I've
get you a
never
Truth
have.
Don't Lie shirt?
A what?
A Truth Don't Lie, #CAB.
Man,
I don't
you
know
can
if
wear
they'll
it
let
during the
Eddie
game.
back on the field after the Baker pregame incident last year or last time.
that was in Waco.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, are we talking about wearing one down there?
I was
Josh was talking about it. OU.
Oh,
Right.
you mean
No, I was talking about
Right.
wearing
I
one at
see.
Florida Atlantic.
I don't even know why Baylor probably loved that. That was the most publicity they got all year.
I wonder. Yeah. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, sometimes OU, they've never made me wear one in the past, but I noticed for the pro day this year we had to wear one. So I don't know.
I
talked to
you know how
Mike
I
Houck
bucked
and the
that?
boys.
I showed up with a vest of my own, and they
You
were
wear
like,
your own?
They were like, oh, "Okay, you don't have to wear the vest. Everybody knows you."
Well,
Helps to be big time. He's known.
Eddie took his off and put it in his pocket, though.
I'm not wearing that shit.
I have one ISD that I have to do it in Houston, and it pisses me off every time I have to do it.
That's next level. Psycho, wearing one.
This
for a
is
high
the
school
one
game.
where I got into an argument one time on
They
the
want to
field
make
with
sure
the.
that they want to be able to track the people that are doing the upskirts.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and I get it. It was just I've had a bad prior relationship with this ISD, so I kind of bristle anyways, and I can't help it. So
Whatever happened to the good old days when you could just talk shit to losers like Taylor Ham? Now you got to wear.
You got to be marked.
Yeah, you got to be marked. You got to be tracked by the government. It's just sickening.
and that ISD, there was nothing said about that. They were going to let us have at it on the field.
That would have been beautiful.
It really would have been.
Could have put his heart in a jar.
But again, I was going to be the dude on the 10 o'clock news, reporter and dude who is unclear on why he's here, get into fight at high school football game.
Reporter and local A&M fan get in fight at
Exactly. I mean, that's the biggest question is how do they label Taylor? So,
yeah.
Okay. Baseball. Not Kyler Murray related.
Yeah.
But the draft has happened.
Yeah, and the
Eddie,
season
fill
is
us
over.
in. Yeah.
The season is over.
Yeah. I mean,
Tough way to end it.
Didn't we all kind of think that could go that way though?
After they got beat on Sunday, I had my doubts.
Yeah.
And especially the way that they got beat. 8-run thirds usually.
Yeah.
OU and OSU gave up in one day. They gave up 16 runs in one inning combined. And I believe it was the third inning.
Is Texas the last man standing?
Tech.
Oh, Tech is still in it.
Yeah,
And
Tech's
talk
still
about
around.
a gift. Tennessee State goes into Oxford and wins the regional. So they will host the regional at the Dish this weekend in Austin.
I see
Texas and Tennessee State.
Luke and Baker, did he go at the end of the first round or the start of the second?
Second round, I believe. And actually, I think
He's
it
like
might have been one of the
40-something.
supplemental rounds.
It was. It was a
I think it was
supplemental at the end of the first.
second round.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, first round.
End of the first, then they
in
had
between the
supplemental,
first and second. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so Kyler Murray went one. Steele Walker went number 46 overall. His fourth, I believe it was the third pick of the second round to the Chicago White Sox. His draft slot is, I think, $1.6 million. He gone.
And by people that didn't follow, neither he nor Kyler Murray made it back for the regional.
Yeah, and they never played after.
It sounded like
Steele Walker
It sounded
missed-
like Steele Walker maybe tried to go and maybe re-injured it in batting practice or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks around that. Not question marks, but I think a lot of people have their own opinions. Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah.
On what happened with Steele, but he was expected to go in the first round and then ended up dropping out of it. So he went to the second. He went in the second round. Jake Irvin went in the fourth round to the Washington Nationals. Austin Hansen in the eighth round to the Houston Astros. And I guess I should back up and say that Cole Franklin, a senior and Oklahoma signee, went in the sixth round. His dad is the agent for Archie Bradley and Dylan Bundy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Kinsler. He's going to sign with the Chicago Cubs. In fact, he was quoted in the Tulsa World today saying that he's probably going to be headed out to Mesa, the Cubs' summer home, to start working with their rookie team. Congrats to him on being drafted by one of the best organizations in baseball.
Absolutely.
Kate Harris went in the 10th.
Oh my God, there's two Cubs fans.
Kate Harris went in the 10th round to the Colorado Rockies, and then today they're wrapping up. And Millen Walla out of a little high school they call Tivy in Texas went in Texas. The 15th round. Isn't that where Johnny Manziel's from?
Sorry, wow.
Oh, I thought are you hitting a jewel with Johnny Manziel back there?
No, it's Tivy.
He's not there. You're just hitting it.
Jesus. All right, you've got. He is from a town of Kerrville, and the high school is Tivy.
So yeah, he went to the same high school as Johnny Football, right?
Unless I am misunderstanding something, that is the same school. It's kind of northwest of Austin.
Very good. So, yeah, I mean, I think that all five of those guys are probably going to sign. Obviously, Kyler Murray, Steele Walker, and Jake Irvin have the most incentive, but even Austin Hansen at 8, or in the 8th round, and Kate Harris, those are pretty good money. Usually it's one of those things, too. You come back for your senior season after getting drafted as a junior, you lose a lot of leverage. So it will be, I guess, not even interesting. I would expect all five of those guys to sign, and we'll see what happens this afternoon. I think that Kyle Tyler might have a chance to get drafted. I think that Lane Ramsey, a redshirt junior, might have a chance.
40 freaking rounds.
Yeah, there's so many rounds.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. It's insane.
Also, Bob Przybylo wanted to make sure he gave a softball update, I'm told.
Oh, really?
and all the good women that do good things and great things like Paige Lowry, right?
There you go.
She was number 1 pick, in case you guys missed it.
Was she? I didn't see that when Bob tweeted.
Guess you didn't know.
Bob left it out on purpose. He's just a jackwagon.
Doing a little research.
I gotta tell you,
Spin zone. Bob Przybylo just announced his candidacy to run for president of the United States with this sexist feminism.
With his misogynistic tendencies.
Misogynistic tendencies. That's what I was looking for.
I'm twisting the knife a little bit. He was very upset about the whole. Because let me ask you this, Bob. Let me ask you this: how many years did you cover? Not just high school, but high school girls sports.
2006 to 2011.
Woman hater.
So for 5 years,
I did fast pitch softball. I missed OU Texas every single year for fast pitch softball championships, and then I did slow pitch softball in the spring, and then I do Women's College World Series because sometimes I work for the paper and work for another paper like Tuscaloosa or Tempe.
Be a stringer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Bob Przybylo covered for 5 years. Covered women's sports in the state, in the largest publication in the state, the Oklahoman, and you get come after over not including Paige Lowry in the draft. I just wanted to say I thought that whole thing was bullshit. And, I get on Twitter, and I say stupid stuff all the time. I've done it today. I've done it last night. But I ask for it. Like, Eddie does the same thing. Eddie definitely does. Recently, Eddie's done that a lot.
To who?
You know to who.
I really don't.
Well, we won't bring it up then. But I'm just going to say, Bob does not deserve to get crap over not including Paige Lowry.
Well, here was my logic. Okay, I was thinking, when was the last time a school had a top 10 pick? in the NBA, Major League Baseball, and NFL draft all in the same year.
Yeah.
So I put all those three
sports
guys
that people care about, basically.
together. And, it turned out the answer wasn't as far back as I was hoping. I was hoping like 1990.
And it was Texas.
2006 Texas, Vince Young, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Drew Stubbs. So
we do
so
have
it's 12 years.
We have some actual breaking news.
Really?
Michael Thompson Jr. had just tweeted, "Sadly, I won't be competing this fall due to a torn ACL. I'll be back better than ever."
Whoa.
That would be signee Michael Thompson.
Get it on the board.
It sucks about the ACL. It sucks that he won't have time.
My God, he tore his ACL on literally the first week of workouts.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So he's here, right?
Yes, he's here.
Yeah.
That can happen. You see that like Levi Draper. You see that where these guys first come in, maybe not used to the intensity of these type of workouts.
Oh no, this is going to start a
Benny Wiley.
Benny Wiley.
Well, you look at the spring game and how many people were hurt. There were rumblings then about, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are all these guys hurt? Jalen Redmond, TJ Pledger, not like Caleb Kelly, Michael Jones, guys that had surgery beforehand, but how many people during spring itself all of a sudden missed the game?
That's terrible news, guys. That's not good at all.
Appreciate the tip, Betty.
Yeah, that is hard to process almost. I mean, you spend so much time, and you guys spent so much time tracking whether he might be eligible or not. You finally get past that hurdle, and then you tear your ACL the first week on campus.
Yikes.
Well,
frankly, I would take the one. If you had to have him either torn ACL or not qualified, you still got the better news of the two.
I can't find that silver lining.
Just have the red shirt, basically. It's like
he
a
was
red
gonna
shirt
red
year.
shirt anyway.
I don't know. I think you overestimate what state they're in on the defensive line, Josh.
Especially
At
at that
nose tackle?
position.
Neville Gallimore is the guy
Marquise
there.
Overton, but he wasn't. They like Marquise Overton.
They can
Or
like
seem
him
to.
all
They
they
keep
want, but
sticking
he's
him out
just
there.
okay.
I mean, he played a hell of a lot more than Lampkin did, even in spite of the fact Lampkin actually made a few plays.
Yeah. I think Marquise Overton is just okay. And you know what, Michael Thompson?
Michael
Thompson might have been
anything
nothing.
Michael Thompson could give you.
Maybe we don't know. I mean, you don't know with those guys.
I know for fact. Freshman coming in like that. Who was the last freshman that came in and played like that much, or gave that much?
Well, they redshirted Gerald McCoy. He could have done that much.
Okay, well, I mean, Gerald McCoy's one of the best to ever do it.
Well,
Michael Thompson, I don't think you're one of the best.
And really was like a dominant force.
Well, I mean, the thing that comes to your head is Tommy Harris and Dusty Dvorak are the ones that immediately come to mind.
Uh-huh.
But I can't really remember. I mean, Amani Bledsoe was nothing. I mean, yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but I think fans at least wanted a chance to see if he could do it.
I almost wonder if it's a good thing for Oklahoma, because you may be right, Eddie or Carey. Maybe there is a desire to play him, and he's not really ready. So now you're forced to redshirt him, forced to give him that time, and then next year he can be more prepared to be the guy he needs to be.
Well,
they could kind of avoid their own worst impulses.
Yeah, I mean, what's ridiculous is if, you have you lost a guy like Lampkin that could definitely make a difference for you, and he's doing nothing. I mean, by the way, is Jordan Thomas, he's in the Canadian Football League?
Jordan Thomas?
Yeah.
Jarvis Baxter? A couple names.
Well, I mean, I would expect Jarvis Baxter to be in the Canadian Football League.
I'm surprised. I'm just surprised he's still playing football. It's more of a shout out to him.
Yeah. But man, Jordan Thomas. I think that goes down as the most. I mean, in a 2-year span, that has to be the biggest just collapse we've ever seen.
Talk about like a year and a half from halftime of the 16 OU Texas game forward.
We're all doing
because he was so great in that first half, and then he was pretty much dog shit from the point on.
We're all doing this podcast trying to retweet and tweet this Michael Thompson stuff.
That's why we off-season.
Off-season?
So, yeah, I mean, look, chances are he wasn't going to be the starter. Chances are Kyler Murray's your starting quarterback. I mean, there are a lot of things that we feel like are foregone conclusions. But at the same time, you like to have that option just because you lose a Lampkin, you have a serviceable guy in Marquise Overton. Neville Gallimore, they're trying to play him at nose, but he really hasn't been the guy that we thought he would be. You don't have a lot of options. I mean, it's
you never want to turn down depth in defensive or offensive line. And I mean,
especially when you're playing in the Big 12.
How much does this inflate the Jay Hayes decision now? I mean, it's probably a little bit different just because it's different positions, but I mean, it's just more depth along the defensive line, right?
You wonder if they try to bulk up Jordan Kelly more. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, and hell, maybe the way that the defensive line thing would work is we're all talking about Michael Thompson, then Jordan Kelly comes in and stars in camp. I mean, you still got Tyrese Lott who can come on, and I think he can be a player.
Are we done with Troy James and Zach McKinney? I mean, I'm not saying, I just haven't heard much about them at this point.
I think when we get past two-a-days or the two-a-day sessions, whatever we call them now, because they're not two-a-days, and we can talk to Ruffin and get his take on where McKinney and I can't even remember the other guy's name. He's so irrelevant.
Troy James. I mean, that was the one thing. Like, he said things last year about Tyrese Lott that made you think, okay. And he was pretty honest. He was like, those other guys just aren't there yet, but I like what Tyrese Lott is doing. And Lott was hurt at the end of the season. That's something that got kind of underreported, even by us. But a healthy Tyrese Lott, yeah, maybe that can be your answer for some depth. So we'll see. All right, I think we're about out of time here. Unless you guys have anything you wanted to bring up, we're going to go and deal with the Michael Thompson fallout now.
Nothing like a good meltdown.
And I mean, I can see why. I mean, a lot of people pin their hopes that he could be a difference maker. And you know, the funny thing about being out at camp is if Mike Stoops was in control of offers, he would probably offer 700 people on the defensive side of the ball. Like, you could tell, like, he loves working like with Trace Ford and stuff. Like, and he would take Cole Mashburn, I think, if it were up to him, and play him as a defensive lineman. But, you know, it's probably devastating for a guy like him who wants every body he can get and knows that his head's on the line. So it's going to be interesting.
Just relax, people. It's June. It's June 6th.
Start panicking in August when we've had time to decompress.
Not even August. Wait till, like, I don't know, September 15th.
Wait till after the FAU game?
Yeah.
Guys, let me put this in perspective for you as far as levels of panic. Eddie, this is going to ring true for you. Ben Woods is advocating for this being not a big deal.
Whoa!
I can't put it any
Neither
more
Eddie
clearly
or
than
I would
that.
know because we're blocked.
No, he follows me now. I'm not blocked anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to check this out.
Back in his good graces.
Yep.
We've given him a shout out on the podcast. I don't think a nice one, but
Does he maybe hate TU football too?
ooh, maybe that's it.
Oh, no, that would mean that there's two people that actually care about Tulsa football. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get crazy.
When I was in Tulsa a few weeks ago with Eddie, there were rumors, dinner and drinks were going to happen, and it just didn't come together. It was really sad to see. You thought there was time for a makeup.
Hate to see that. Hate to see that.
Twitter won't even let me look him up.
I wonder if you must still be blocked. I wonder if Tulsa will win 5 games next year.
Did you say anything derogatory to the Tulsa staff that was out there at the Owasso team camp?
Were they out there?
I don't know. I saw a bunch of blue jerseys huddled over in some of Bob's pictures.
And
there's NEO.
NEO
Oh, was
was
that
out
NEO?
there.
Yeah, it was Zach Allen and his boys.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And I did talk to them.
All right, so coming up, Lincoln Riley's going to be in Dallas tomorrow night or Thursday night for the Caravan.
Think he'll continue Bob's streak of having a couple cocktails before he shows up for that stop?
I don't know that Riley is that guy.
I guess that's something you can only do when you're in your 16th year.
Yeah. I think Bob, at that point in his career, was still having people pour his drinks into Diet Coke bottles.
Kyle Tyler just got drafted.
Interesting. And then Fridays, the big, saw Seth Luttrell last night. He was out there. But the big Denton Super Camp that North Texas is hosting. And that's one thing. OU and North Texas, they are tied at the hip, man. Like Seth Luttrell. Well, Seth Luttrell was on staff at Arizona with Bill Bedenbow. And so Lincoln and Seth, somewhere along the way, have gotten really close.
Yeah, they were together all day Saturday when the entire North Texas staff was here.
And their staff has even been here during the spring, for practices and stuff. So they're doing their super camp together. That's going to be an all-day deal. Did we know any names on that at all yet? Nothing? Okay.
I don't. Not at this time.
Then Josh will be at the Houston camp tonight. And then
I'm going to check out the basketball camp, see if Davion Harmon is expected. I got to double check on this. Expected to be in Norman this weekend for Lon Kruger's camp.
Okay, good stuff. All right, guys. I appreciate it, Josh. Appreciate you, man, and all your extra tattoos that you have now that we know about. Eddie, appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Glad to be here.
Don't
Glad to
say
be
it.
here.
Just
what?
Got.
I didn't even say it. Why is that the no-no word? Can you say? Can you say that?
Stop.
See you
later.
Larry
No.
David. Larry David said it.
I would have no problem if Aaron Miller came after you for using that word. I would let her. I would tag her.
That's my girl. We wouldn't say that.
Natty's for Patty. You didn't pull it off this year.
I don't think the effort was there. I stay under. I don't think. I was telling somebody the other day. I don't think that can ever be replicated.
Yeah.
It was kind of a 1-year thing.
I saw somebody tried to get something going.
Really?
In the media, but then you shut him down.
Really?
Or no, we never did shut him down, did we? We just let it go.
I completely missed that. I never even saw it.
No, you didn't. Even Bob's laughing.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Bob, thank you. Bob has a new camera, a new toy. I've learned a lot of things about Bob's photography style over the last couple of days. I learned, Josh, why I don't like Bob's pictures, or his old ones, or why they were even worse than they could have been, or he made them as worse as they could be. Bob, I'm not gonna get into it. We're not having photography talk. So I'm very excited to look at his pictures from last night. So we'll have lots more pictures, all that good stuff. Josh is graduated from my photography program. He takes fantastic pictures now. He might.
Do you know what that graduation was? That was just paying money. I just spent money.
Hey, I'm like Trump University. All right, that's going to do it. We'll leave it on that one. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you back here next week, probably, for another edition of the Unofficial 40.
Podcasts from Soonerscoop.com.